My name is Dario Hunter, and I serve as a member of the Youngstown, Ohio Board of Education. And it's my pleasure to be here yet again, where my campaign began, here in Pittsburgh. I'd just like to point out the fact that we have so many wonderful Green Party activists here, and the word that comes to mind looking out on this group is responsibility. We're all here because we recognize a sense of responsibility for moving forward an agenda that is going to ensure a clean planet, that democratic rights are protected for our fellow citizens. It's going to ensure a greener and a fairer America. That's why we're all here, and that's why I'm here. Just to let you know a little bit about my background, for those of you who haven't met me, I'm a former environmental attorney. I've served as an educator, teaching high school English. I've served as an educational administrator, currently serve as a campus rabbi at the College of Worcester. I consider myself a human rights and an environmental activist. I've been very active in the Youngstown community, opposing fracking, which is an issue that is a big issue for us, and that we share as an issue with Pennsylvania as well. This fracking boom that endangers our environment. And some of you may be aware of some of my recent human rights activities speaking out against the abuses against the Palestinian people, something that unfortunately cost me my job and livelihood as a rabbi at a synagogue in Youngstown. But at the end of the day, as many activists before me have realized, that a job is just a job, the full-time job that you have as a human being is standing up for other human beings' rights. And so that's something that I'm proud to do. When we talk about 2020, when we talk about the priorities that we need to have in mind in order to win in 2020, we have to break this down in terms of values and in terms of strategy. The two depend upon each other, but we have to have strength in both of those areas. So I'm going to talk about values. I'm going to talk about platform to start with. And I think that in 2020, one of the things we have to have a very strong voice about is something that has gained a lot of currency recently, the Green New Deal. And when I mention the Green New Deal, I'm not talking about the watered-down version that some Democrats have offered. To their credit, some of them have kept some key plank aspects of the Green New Deal. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is kept in job and income guarantees and kept in single-payer health care and 100% renewable energy. At the end of the day, however, we know that what we offer as a party is a restructuring of the system in a way that will take out capitalist interest. You can't simply layer the Green New Deal and its promise of investing in a cleaner environment and providing energy-related jobs over the top of a system that is still engineered towards profits for the few. And then you have others, such as Cuomo in New York, who have offered a very watered-down version, promising 100% renewable energy in terms of electricity. Well, maybe in some other states that might be more impactful, but in his state, New York, it doesn't really amount to much in reducing the carbon footprint. And we also have to address the issue of public ownership of utility companies, which of course would help facilitate the efforts of the Green New Deal in terms of providing renewable energy by 2030, which studies have shown we can do, and studies have also shown we need to do. Climate change is a serious security issue for our country. Even our armed forces recognize that. Even the Pentagon recognizes that. They recognize that the effects of it, the destabilizing chaos, from food shortages to everything else you can imagine that would result from the flooding, from all sorts of natural disasters, would be catastrophic. And so we have to be the ones to champion the change that's necessary to prevent that from happening. And of course, in a country where people are hurting for jobs, such as in my community, Youngstown, Ohio, a place that lost half of its population over the past few decades due to a downturn in local industry, the steel industry, to be specific, much like here in Pittsburgh. Those jobs are sorely needed. And of those who work in hazardous industries, and are very much looking forward to getting out of those industries. Those clean jobs are going to be very much needed. I've engaged in a national conversation, going from state to state, talking to communities about the issues that they face. And I'll never forget speaking to a retired union coal miner in West Virginia who talked glowingly about the idea of having jobs once again due to such a Green New Deal. Despite how many people are talking about coal and this terrible term of clean coal with absolutely no sense, the people who are interested in those industries supposedly coming back would just as soon be interested in having jobs in clean energy, if available, if provided, if we were able to take that profit motive out that has caused catastrophe and abuse of human lives and the tragedy that occurred in West Virginia some years ago of 29 men being killed in a mine in the community that I visited, in fact, Whitesville, West Virginia. So when we talk about values, we talk about getting that message out there of what we offer that no other party offers, a true commitment to a real Green New Deal, coupled with this effort towards slashing the military budget, towards demilitarization, especially considering the fact that our armed forces are one of the biggest fossil fuel users. This deal is something that offers the American public something they've never had before. An opportunity to not only get a revitalization economically, to not only get a sense of economic justice through our just transition in renewable energy, but to also protect their planet and their neighborhoods. Which brings me to some other important values issues that we have to emphasize. We have to emphasize racial justice, and we have to emphasize how economic injustice and racism in education and racism in the environmental issues we face have affected our communities. I am here in a community that is reeling from the effects of the inability to reach justice in the Antoine Rose case. That young man was shot in the back, and yet the police officer that did it gets off scot-free. We have to stand up for those who are voiceless. Our strategy as a party will be to take those values, the values in economic justice and race justice, the values in terms of reshaping our sense of policing, in terms of ending interventionist activities abroad, and to put it forward in a strategy that goes into every state party, building up their efforts, building up local efforts, recognizing that, as they say, all politics are local, engaging in a year of activism leading up to 2020 so that people can point to the Green Party and say, this is the party that's standing up for the voiceless, and that is why my vote is going to the 2020 presidential candidate, and to all of the other candidates we encourage to stand up and run under the green banner. We are going to do that alongside a robust ballot access effort that goes into every state to make sure that green is an option for every American. And we are going to do more than that. We are going to go out and reach out to those communities we don't traditionally see amongst the green faithful. And as a proud African-American man, as an openly gay man, I have to say that in my travels, in my visits, I have not seen as many diverse crowds as I would like. We need to go into those centers of political power that reach out to the African-American community, go into the black churches, go into those organizations and make those connections. I've done it in my community as the chair of the Mahoning County Green Party. I believe we can do it in every community. And I want to make clear, when I talk about both values and strategy, there are many other platform planks that we can talk about. One of the reasons why I'm running is because now more than ever, when we face the threat of black people being murdered on the streets, it is time for those marginalized, disenfranchised communities to be able to stand up and speak for themselves. In an interview in the Breakfast Club recently, Bernie Sanders was asked, facetiously somewhat, do we need another old white man running for president? And he said, this man, this is the one that you need. He missed entirely the subtext of that question. The question was, why now, in 2019, with all that's happening, why don't we have the kind of country where those marginalized voices can stand up and speak for themselves, where the oppressed can stand up and speak out about their oppression? He missed that entirely, especially when he went on to say that he did not support reparations. The Green Party supports reparations. The Green Party supports the voices of the oppressed. The Green Party is the only party that is standing up for economic justice, for racial justice, for environmental justice in our country, and it is time that we as Greens come together around candidates, and a candidate for the 2020 presidential election who will stand up and be the voice for the oppressed. Thank you.